I am your host, Carrie, giving us different perspectives on where we are and where we want to go on our journey. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to spending some time with you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Lighthouse Project, the podcast series for Volume 3, and it's called The Embers We Carry, and I have one of the authors with me. Her name is Stefi Diebold. Thank you, Stefi, for being here. I am thrilled to get your work and your chapter out to the world, so I want to give people just a little bit of a introduction of you and talk about your chapter in the book. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you, Carrie. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
This is big. So I like to read the chapter right before I interview because then it's nice and fresh for me. And this is an emotional chapter that you've written. It is incredible. Would you like to tell everyone listening what your title is and maybe just a little bit about you, where you're sitting in from, because I know that's kind of exciting, just where you're coming in from right now. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what your chapter is called, and then we can go into a little bit about what your chapter is about.
Sure. My chapter is called Liberated. Mm-hmm. But a bit about me, I am 37 and I am currently living in New Zealand. So I've been living in New Zealand for 2 years in Nelson on the South Island.
Yeah.
I'm here. I work as a commercial diver. And so I came over for work and just love the nature, love the culture, love life here. So I've been here for a bit.
And you're originally from Canada. You're originally from Canada, right?
Originally from Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, originally from Canada. I grew up in Oshawa, Ontario, and then Vancouver Island is where I spent my adult years around the Comox Valley.
Beautiful. And I'm in Parksville right now filming. So this is
nice. Beautiful spot.
So you had, can you tell me a little bit about, I know that did somebody tell you about the book? And then I know that you reached out about becoming an author. Can you tell me how that went? I kind of remember.
One of my best friend from Vancouver Island, her cousin wrote for Volume 1. And so she gave me Volume 1. Okay. And then her aunt wrote for Volume 2. And so she sent me Volume 2. And that might be the other way around. It might have been the aunt first and the cousin second.
Okay.
But her family members were part of both projects. And she sent me the book. And it's a space that I've been looking for a long time, wanting to find some place to share my story, but being terrified about doing it. Yes. And so when I read the volumes, I was like, this is the space. And then I reached out to the publisher. At the back of the book, it said, if you have your story, reach out. I was like, this is it, I'm still terrified, but this is the space to do it. And so I reached out to the editor, and then she had just met you for, I think, a coffee or lunch or something. And like, we were just talking about that yesterday. So then reached out to you and put us in touch. And but it all started from my friend just sharing the book with me. And and that, introduced it to me.
And that, I love that, because that's really the whole premise behind these books is that one woman reads it and gets something out of it. And usually we either think of somebody that, oh, so-and-so's got to read this book, or you're thinking about what you've resonated with in each of the stories. I think that's what I found. It's even if you didn't go through that specific experience that we're all writing about, somebody who has, or you resonate with, even if it's a feeling, or, you may have touched on something that resonates. I have found that in every single chapter that all of these books. So
absolutely.
I'm thrilled that you were thought of and somebody sent you the book, because reading your chapter, it's an emotional chapter, but it's so good. Like the way you've written it is, what would the word be? Like, I feel like you're so inclusive, right? When you talk about the tough topics that you touch on in your chapter, and we'll go briefly in here because we don't want to give it all away, but you talk about STDs, which is a topic that not a lot of people want to talk about. But you you acknowledge like your vulnerability in the chapter of saying there was a lot of shame around that. There's so much outside judgment when that you kept it secret for a long time because of that. And
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
and that just accumulated, right? Because it sounds like when we feel that shame and we don't share it because we're worried about hurting other people was another thing that you touched on, which I loved that piece as well. So yeah, tell me a little bit about your process and where you were coming from when you sat down to write this chapter, because it was probably, if you had thought about doing it, you probably had it all up here. And it was like, now how do I get it out there to help somebody else? So I'd love to just hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's hard. It didn't happen overnight, you know, and it didn't even happen when my friend gave me the book. It's not like that was the first moment that I thought I need to talk about this. It's something that I've lived with and carried for 20 years. And yeah, the shame and the guilt and the secret of it has just kept me so down and so low and so scared, like stuck in myself. And I just started to, over time, realize that I can't change anything, you know? So keeping it a secret, the way that it is just harming how I interact and how I perceive myself and how much it just piles on and on. It just started to really weigh heavy. And so I have been wanting to talk about it, talk about my experiences, talk about things I've gone through, but just didn't really know how, because the shame still prevents it. It stops you in your tracks, you know, that fear of being ostracized and being rejected and being judged. And then as I thought of that more and more, like dissecting what is preventing me from talking about it, it made me realize, why does this exist? Why does this fear exist? Why does this shame exist? Why is there judgment around this? And it just kept spitballing. So then diving more into like, well, where did that all originate from? And that brought a lot of comfort and gave me a bit of strength to start talking about it in small groups. And then as I started talking about it, people shared. I wasn't alone anymore. And that blew me away to realize that people just are also holding similar secrets and we're all just afraid to talk about them. And then I'm like, I have to put it out there. Someone needs to break the silence. Someone needs to make this more comfortable, end the stigma. And so that was the goal. I just kind of felt that I didn't have a choice anymore. It's just time, you know?
Time.
Yeah.
And you went through, because when we talk about some of these tough topics, it's really important. Like, you had to get to that point of, now I'm able to share it because of where you are at in your own life. Right. I mean, I think it's so important that, we understand it before we share it, and not, you don't have to understand the whole thing, because we're probably still trying to understand some of the things that we've both gone through. And maybe there'll never be a full understanding of it, but you come from, and I don't even want to say a healed place, because I'm not sure we're ever totally healed either. I mean, I think that's just a lifelong journey, no matter who you are and what you've gone through. But I love the way you take us through the chapter and show us some of the roller coaster and the ups and downs that you went through. So of course, one of them, you know, the beginning that you talk about, and it's sexual experience, right? And there was a part that you touched on that, for so long you kept it so secret. And in part of your healing journey, what you've gone through, you touched on the fact that when we keep things a secret, we are also robbing other people of helping support us. And I just thought that was a beautiful piece to touch on, because I don't think a lot of people think about that.
Yeah, it's something that I didn't think about until, like, again, I'm 37, and it took me until 37 to really understand that element of it.
Yeah.
You know, I always thought that I was keeping this secret to protect myself and to protect other people, and that was the right way to respond to situations.
Yeah.
But what I was blinded from is that by doing all of that, you aren't allowing other people in. You're not allowing other people to show up and And again, these things still happen. So hiding it isn't actually making it go away. It's not making it invisible. And so all you're doing is just blocking everything else from what can transpire, like things that happen, and how we choose to handle them are just the ways that we know how. And I've been doing it one way for 20 years and it hasn't been serving me. And through all the self-work that I've been doing and the insight and the healing journey, what I've come to realize is it hasn't been serving me in so many ways that it has affected my behavior and my reactions and my responses and my trust and everything. And so I was like, there is a different way. I can choose a different way. And that choice was to no longer keep the secret, which has allowed people in and allowed that support to show up that was always needed. And you give,
go ahead.
The word healing, I've read along my journey, there's so much different opinion about using healing, because healing could mean that you're broken, and we're not broken. And I love the word, because I always think about when you injure yourself, you need to heal. You cut yourself, that wound needs to heal. It takes time. And I love the word, because that's how I describe what I'm on. I've been on a healing introspective journey, and I agree, we're never fully healed, but I take it as a positive word to use.
I think so too. And I love that, because it is a wound. I mean, we have a lot of wounds.
We have a lot of wounds. Everyone does.
Yes. And there was another piece that I loved when you talked a little bit about your healing, and it was that healing doesn't eliminate the emotions that we're feeling. It just helps us to manage them and try to understand them more. So I just thought you did such a beautiful job of, I don't know, I felt like you kind of had my hand going through the chapter. And being alongside of you. And being alongside of you. And that feeling, like you said, when we keep all this stuff in and we don't share, it's you feel so alone. And I think that's what these stories, by sharing them, help other women not feel so alone. And we give them permission that it's okay to share it in the right places. I mean, everyone's different on sharing their stories and how they do that. But it's women like you that have the courage to be open about it, that starts the conversations. And like you say, that is what will start to take the stigma away from these topics that you're discussing in the book. Right?
Yeah. And that is my biggest goal, because if the stigma wasn't there, then women, people, men wouldn't feel the need to keep it a secret. And then the struggle wouldn't be so isolating. It wouldn't be so long. It wouldn't be so hard. And it really comes down to the stigma. And so, it's still hard. Like, I am proud of myself for speaking, but it doesn't mean that it's not still hard to be speaking about these things, because these are still very uncomfortable, very taboo topics. However, I really believe in the change that can come from more and more voices around it. And if it helps one person choose differently and not be alone, then that's the goal,
And I think that is what is becoming so apparent in the volumes of these books, is that every woman that comes in here and chooses to share their story, it was all with the same intention of helping one other person. And I just don't think there's anything better than that. Like, that's our intention of sharing, is to help somebody. But it takes courage. It takes courageous women to do that. So I really honor you. I honor you so much for sharing this, because, like you said, it might not ever get easier, but you're freer from the cage it held you, right? That's what it feels like, is there's so much freedom that comes when we're not in secret anymore. And it's just like, this is it. Like, this happened. Many things have happened to you. And, one leads to another. Who knows how that all happened. But when it's no longer a dark cloud over, that we feel we have, right? That darkness when we're not sharing it. When all of a sudden that's kind of lifted. Like, that's powerful.
Yes. My title it was just so obvious for it's Liberated.
Yeah.
And it was so obvious for me because how I felt when I finally started to share and share intentionally, you know, like not share like little secret tidbits and then share like a little bit, like intentionally be like, no, this is what I want people to know. It's time that I expose this part of myself.
Yeah.
I was so afraid that I was going to get struck down and, you know, thrown to the wolves or pushed to my own island or something like that.
Yeah.
And none of that happened.
Yeah.
And all that it did was it liberated me. Like it was like this huge exhale, and all of this fear on the judgment and everything, it never came, and it still hasn't came. And I am selective with who I share, you know, it's not like I'm walking down the street marching in a parade, although part of me wants to, because I've been so empowered by the amount of times that I have shared that I'm like, you know, maybe it is time to write that t-shirt and wave that flag, because it's done nothing but just made me feel liberated, feel the weight off of me finally, and feel the support and like also feeling held and like allowing that as well. So it's been incredible. Yeah.
And so that was a big step to actually, so you've handed your chapter off. The editor is now in charge of it. What was that feeling like for you when it was just like that final approval? That's it. And now it's going to be out to the world on April 11th, which I cannot wait for everybody to get their hands on these stories. But what was that feeling like for you?
I was stoked, honestly. I've been sitting with it and started writing and being a part of it in April. Yeah. And so to hand it and send it off, which was November, was when we hit that stamp date. Yeah. I was ready, you know. I was like, I wanted to be out there now. I want the book now. And so it was all excitement. Like I didn't really have fear. I feel like I've been talking about it now that I feel good. It doesn't feel scary to keep putting it out. Yeah. So it was just pure excitement.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. And now, so we're going to be getting together in person, which is another thing I can't wait for, because so many of you I haven't met in person. So then it's going to be awesome. And then everyone's going to get a copy of the book. So I really want to make sure that with your coming, so from New Zealand, but you're coming back to Canada right before that, right? And then for people to get to know you. So that's what this was about. I want people to get to know you a little bit so that they see who's coming into this book. Like sometimes it's like, who would write a chapter about their life and be vulnerable like that? It's like people like you. Like it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. So the in-person part is going to be great, I think.
Yes, I'm very much looking forward to it. Absolutely. Yeah.
And the only thing is they don't get the book yet. They get the book at the summit. Yeah. So it's like everyone's going to be reading.
It's exciting. It's little tasters and teasers and introductions into it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm excited to have the book. I'm excited to have been a part of this with all the other women and meeting the other women through our calls, but not knowing their full stories too. Like I'm excited to also read it and get to know more. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful project.
I think that's what we're going to be doing. Just a little heads up is we're going to be going into the group and each of us are going to read our stories to each other. So be prepared for that, because that's an emotional call that we do, and it's but you get to see the person, you know, reading their story out, and there's something so powerful about that. So I'm hoping at the summit each of you will be able to read, you know, a piece of your chapter out, so everybody gets an idea. But they're going to want to dive into your chapter for sure, because I think like we just touched on some of the topics. You know, you've had sexual encounters that were not pleasant, if that's the right word to use, probably not. And the STD, I mean, you've got a lot of things that you dealt with from quite a young age, right? And then it took this time for you to, you touch on it in the book. You felt a lot of anger that you had never really dealt with, and there was a lot of it tied to that, right? And you talked about and how important the breath work was, which I love that too.
Yeah, I My response, because I internalized everything and because I didn't speak about it with anyone and I didn't have any adult guidance, being as young as I was when I started to experience things, I didn't have the response of any emotion, but anger is what grew.
Right.
So I think like my subconscious or my defensive, my fight flight, the protector in me developed anger. And so an anger would come out in so many different ways. And I always knew that, but it took a long time for me to understand the root of that. And then to deal with it, which it did start with breath work. That was the beginning of my journey.
Yeah.
But I did, and I write in the book too. I was like, I thought I'd just breathe it away and then I'd be fine, you know, like a couple breaths, a couple exhales, anger gone, and then I'm just like skipping around. Not quite how it works in life, but it has been a huge shift for sure. Yeah. I'm so grateful for that beginning. And even the whole healing journey alone, like how everything organically developed has been huge for me. So it's been a really great experience. Yeah.
Well, I wish I had the book to hold up to show everybody, because I just can't wait. But I appreciate you so much for coming on, and we've given a little bit about what your chapter is about. I hope we haven't given too much away. I just want to talk to you about the entire
more
chapter.
In there. Yeah. We'll have to do that at the summit.
Yes, we will do that. And then maybe we'll do a longer podcast when the book is out, and then we can actually dive into a lot of what you're gone through and what you wrote about in that book or in your chapter.
I would love that.
I feel like a whole book coming from you, because I hope so.
It's coming. It's coming.
That's good. I'm so glad, because I think my favorite part out of any of these, even though that we deal with a lot of heavy topics, there's something that shining the light on it really does make it available for so many people who are reading these stories. So we're shining a light on some pretty tough topics, but that's what we need to do. In my opinion, just like you said, we need people who are willing to share their stories to help somebody else. And yours is going to, sadly, like I always say, I wish people didn't resonate with my story, but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And that's
a lot of people do.
That's the reality of it. So I think, I know yours is going to resonate with a lot of people, and they're going to see pieces of themselves in that, or somebody they know, like we talked about at the beginning. But it's going to help people, and that's our intention, right? And you've done a beautiful, beautiful job of that. So I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, honestly, thank you for creating the space for us to be able to do this, because without that, who knows how much longer it would have taken, you know, but it's definitely time to start talking.
Yes, I agree. Start talking. That's what these books are about. I want them on people's coffee tables. I was like, well, what's this? Oh, well, let's just find a chapter, because there's a topic in there that we're going to be able to talk about, and it might be a bit uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
But I would absolutely love that. Yeah. So that's our goal.
Let's get uncomfortable.
Yes. Let's get everybody uncomfortable and see what happens.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to let you go, because I know that you've probably got a lot of stuff you're doing to get ready for your big adventure you're heading out on, which awesome. That's got to be another chapter in your book, I hope.
I know. Yes. Yeah. I'm very excited for it. I leave in a few days. So
yes. Yeah. So can you just end us off with that? You're leaving in a couple of days, and you're going, it's a hike. Just give me a little tiny thing while we end it off.
Yeah. There's a hike from living in New Zealand. There's a hike that you can do. It's it's the whole length of New Zealand. So the top of the North Island to the bottom of the South. I'm doing a section of that hike. And so I'll be hiking for 7 weeks through the Southern Alps, through the Alpine route. And the trail it's I'm looking at the name, Te Araroa. Butchered the pronunciation, but I did my best. It's the TA. So I'm going on a section of the TA for 7 weeks.
For 7 weeks. I'm
starting in a few days.
Wow. That's amazing.
So I'm very excited.
I can't wait to see you in April and have an amazing adventure. This hike sounds incredible. I can't wait to hear all about it. And we will see you at the summit. And I can't wait to get our books in our hands. So I'm just super proud of you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Good. Yeah, thank you.
Good. I'm so glad.
Thank you so much. I can't wait as well.
Okay, well, thank you, Steph, for being here. And we will thank you, everybody, for listening. And we can't wait for you to get the book in April or join us at the summit. So thanks, Steph. We'll talk to you later.